feeling the weight of the world? Remember, you are one, and one action can change everything. Welcome to the Be the One podcast with your host, Nancy Matthews, where we inspire you to make a big impact. One moment, one action, one person at a time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this next episode of Be the One TV, where we have the opportunity to highlight extraordinary human beings in our community, in our world, making a positive difference and being the one. And as you get to know my dear friend LaWanna Bradford, you will immediately feel how she does just that. LaWanna Bradford is the CEO of the Bradford Group that just celebrated its 20-year anniversary. Congratulations, my friend. That's huge.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It is a commercial investment and mortgage brokerage company. LaWanna is also a global strategist and analyst working for government entities, large organizations. And the thing that lights me up, in addition to her amazing heart, is how she takes all of that expertise, knowledge, and wisdom and brings it to us to be able to benefit so that we can stay ahead of the curve, that we can stay relevant in today's ever-changing landscape. So welcome, LaWanna.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. I'm excited about this conversation.
I am too. And if I may, I'm actually going to kick us off in a direction that was unexpected. I know that you, my friend, were the recipient of the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So that of all the awards and recognitions I've received over my life, that was the I guess the big cherry on top of everything. And it was for the recognition of over 40,000 volunteer hours that I've given to women entrepreneurs and to really be a part of the empowerment movement, not just in word, but in deed, and providing real-time relevant tools, tactics, strategies for women to position themselves to succeed for them and for their families.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing. So I honor you. That's absolutely extraordinary. And what a beautiful way to be acknowledged for something you were doing that you really weren't looking for any acknowledgement for, right?
Right.
Yeah, you were just showing up to be the one. Tell us a little bit about how you have managed to stay the course, not only in 20 plus years in the Bradford Group with the fluctuation in the market and the economy. You've worked with, government organizations, large corporations. So there's lots of disruption that happens all throughout that. How have you stayed the course and come through that still smiling?
I think I've been blessed to, no matter what lane that I'm in, whether it's in corporate consulting, it is doing something that truly delights me and where I feel that my gifts and talents soar. So yeah, what life is going to happen. Things we have been ever since I started in my professional career, there was never you're going to stay someplace and retire, right? There has always been a change, a right sizing, downsizing, reorganization. So you become resilient to that. And you know that the one thing that's constant is change. So then how do you position yourself so that you can comfortably navigate that change? And I always tell people, you see the wave coming, so you don't want to be on the sidelines thinking, oh, what is that? Is that a wave? You don't want to be overtaken by the wave. Hopefully you can stay in front of it, but if not, learn how to ride it.
Yeah, you conjured up the image in my mind when you go to the beach and you want to ride the wave, right? You got to get it right at that exact moment to catch the momentum of it,
Yes.
or you get knocked down by it,
Yes.
or you just go under.
Yes, been there a couple times.
Yeah, haven't we all? And yet we still rise. And I
We
think
still
that's
rise.
part of the lesson and that you're bringing to us today is you still rise and find a way to come up and maintain your energy, right? So
Exactly.
what are some of the ways? So I know you work with, you know, inside of your corporation, your company that you own, you also work with governments and large organizations. What do you see as the main trickle down, I'll use that term, takeaways from how those companies first succeed, and then maybe where they make some errors? We can look at both of those. What's that trickle down into for the small business owner?
I think where you can find success leaving clues is
Mhm.
being willing to be adaptable and flexible. Those legacy companies, individuals that are beginning to morph into that legacy status are always looking at how do I become relevant in an ever-changing market. And one of my greatest stories is Disney. And people forget that Disney started off, just on someone's pad, in someone's mind. It was an idea that Walt
Yeah.
Disney had. And it went from a small business to this global giant. Well, how did it do that in times of radical change when people could care less about animation? Well, it shifted things, still doing media, still doing movies and film, but they did it to support the war effort. So I challenge everyone that don't be afraid of change. See how you
Mm,
can take what you have and make it relevant today. So I think that's one of the successes that those that have been long-standing are able to do and do well and do
mm,
quickly. I think that's the key thing is do quickly, don't sit
yeah.
on it. And the thing that many businesses are struggling with is the human-centric face, the employee interface. And that's why you start hearing terms about the future of work and how do we do this thing? How do we not be so focused on the bottom line that we
Well,
forget
and
the heart of the
yeah,
people, right?
the heart of the people. And now we fold in. So we had changes in the economy. We start with, going back to the changes with COVID and lots of remote work happening. And then they liked it, but then they had to come back to work. And now you're looking at job insecurity because of AI and artificial intelligence. Like there's a lot of concerns in the job market and in the general marketplace right now.
Yeah, the concerns are huge. And when you just look at here in the US, just on the government side, the numbers of individuals who lost their positions, it's overwhelming. And people don't know what to do. They were in a position that they felt was, and I don't want to use the term secure, but they were pretty comfortable that I'm tracking toward my retirement.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you get this knock on the door and it says, oh, it has nothing to do with your performance, but thank you for your service. And the
Yeah.
hardest pill to swallow, Nancy, is talking to these individuals now. It would make more sense if you said, okay, we're really downsizing because of efficiency needed. But then
Mhm.
you turn back and you hire contractors for the exact same job that a full-time person was doing. So that's where, again, I think we don't do a good job in helping to communicate change, help individuals acclimate to that change,
Mhm.
and understanding that there is a human being on the other side. These individuals do have families to feed,
So
children going to school. There's a lot.
there is a lot, and I want to ask this question because the company, there's actually a person making the decision, and I would hope that it's not an easy decision for them to make either. If they're looking at my job is to save this company money, like let's say you're the CFO, right? It's not easy for you either when you've got this pressure coming down on you, bottom line, bottom line, bottom line. Like, how do you choose where you're going to cut? And you've been in those
Right.
rooms.
Well, where the world has changed, I used to be called a headhunter, but not a headhunter in the sense of I'm helping you find a job. Headhunter meaning we were slashing. And so we use statistical models to help us identify
Mhm.
where technology would help increase efficiency and then what jobs would either need to be retooled, retrained, or else they became obsolete. unfortunately, with this new wave, there's not a lot of human decision. It's the analog, the that's being placed in the system. And the
Yeah.
systems are just reading and saying, okay, not needed, not needed, not needed. And that's what happened in the government.
And I must say, we're actually seeing the negative result of that in the way the streets are being handled, the way ICE is being like all of that is a result of not considering what is this process, because we've got dominoes here. So when
Yes.
you let those people go and their jobs need to be filled, and now you bring contractors in who are not well trained or part of the company and the culture and all of that for a long-standing time, it, you know, that old phrase, we're cutting off my nose to spite my face. Like that's not good. You still have no
Right.
nose. Right?
I was talking to a friend of mine, and she works for Habitat for Humanity. And so we know President Carter, that was one of his things that he championed. And she said, "Oh my gosh, we are now we're having a hiring freeze." And I said, "What's going on?" She said, People don't realize how much of our funding comes from grant funding, which
Mhm.
comes from the government. So if you're
Right.
cutting big pots of money, so now we're starting to see this trickle down effect, even with your major corporations, your big four consulting firms. Most people don't realize one of their largest employers is the government.
Right. And that also reminds me of this whole concept of when not just with the trickle down and the changes that are taking place, but looking at the longer lens view of what's happening inside of companies, governments, and again, into people's lives.
Yes. And I think my passion is really that small business owner and entrepreneur, because we are the heartbeat of the economy.
Hmm.
Without us, there
Hmm.
is no economy. And so how do we survive? How do we navigate? How do we reimagine ourselves in this
There we go.
changing marketplace, and not just to sit and allow this demise to happen? Because I believe we are better positioned than the larger companies to be
Hmm.
more agile, because we don't have as big of a risk when you're looking at the numbers of employees and perhaps international uh, interfaces that they have. But we
Yeah.
have to believe that we can, right? And trust, and just step out in faith.
Well, and I love that you're turning the conversation to this other side of the equation, because whenever there is economic hardship and troubled times, what that signals is we need solutions. So now we, as a small business owners, and then mid-size and larger business owners, can come in and be the solution
Yes.
in these changing times. It reminds me, um, I know you're familiar with The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles.
Hmm.
And back in 2010, I think it was 2010, Occupy Wall Street was taking place, and it was all about the 99% rising up against the 1%, right? And that was when I studied this book. And as I listened to the book and really delved into it, the truth that within each and every one of us is the capacity to create, to seek opportunity. We must put ourselves in those environments or be invited in by others, right? That's part of what we
Right.
need to do. And this is power to the people. So when you say your heart and your passion is to support small business owners, that's where true power comes from. What can we do? And I love that you take all of your expertise and bring it into the field so that there is power to the people.
Yes. And I love that you brought up um, the the science of getting rich, because we are not taught, and I don't want to focus on the money part, but we are not taught to live in our genius. We are taught to
Hmm.
be dependent on someone else, to allow someone
Yeah.
else to dictate where I live, how much I get paid, when I can come and go, and when I can decide to retire. But when we can step into the truth of who we are divinely, it's magic. But you
Hmm.
have to break free of those old paradigms and mindsets that have really, from the beginning, were designed to shackle us to systems for the 1%.
Correct. Like golden nuggets right there, my friends. Whatever belief system you have of, I need a particular job. I have to work here. I'm going to work for the phone company. My family grew up phone company people. I'm going to work for the phone company for the rest of my life. No, I don't think so. Look at what happened in the telecom world. Everything is
Right.
different. Who even have? I don't even have a landline phone anymore, right? So taking that opportunity to explore what are your gifts? Because, like you, I believe each of us has been given a unique set of not necessarily just skills, but perspectives on life, ways of being, ways of looking at things, ways of doing things that make you uniquely positioned to be of service to somebody else. Whether you
Yes.
like technology, whether you like building engines or computers or marketing or studying medicine or environmental solutions, whatever that is, we all have different, interests and likes that are baked into our DNA. The key is how do you, and again, most of the population is not taught to nurture that. They think
Yeah,
I've just got to
that's
go
so
get a
true.
job, right?
Right. And I was talking to someone just yesterday and she was stuck. And I said, "Well, are you familiar with mind mapping?" And she said no. So I explained to her how she could do it. Well, I talked to her today and I said, "How did it work?" She said it didn't. I only came up with 12 things. And I said, "Then you just stopped?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, you got to be willing to press through because I
Yeah.
told her, I said, you've been conditioned so long to do things a certain way that you don't realize the internal blocks that are there.
Yep. Yeah. And you got to push past it. It's like doing that extra 3 reps when you go to the
Right.
gym. And you need a coach to help you with that. So how blessed is she to have you in her corner to guide her through that? And I think that's an important piece we sometimes forget. So I love that you show up in service to help people discover whatever that giftedness is and then really strategize and implement it. Do
Yes.
we have time? And I don't know if we can go here today to talk about the 3 R's.
Yes. I can condense it.
Okay, okay. Tell us about the 3 R's.
So the 3 R's is refocus, reframe, and reconnect. And it's a proprietary system that I developed as a strategist. Most people have gone through some strategic planning exercise. And in its simplest forms, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. And I'm going to throw something to the wall. Hopefully it sticks and I get there. Well, unfortunately, that's why people are do looping a lot, right? You
Hmm.
keep spinning, and you're the same place the next year after year. But what the R3 does, it overlays that and it makes you more situationally and personally aware. Where do your gifts, where do your talents, where does your business sit in this environment? So you're looking at all these pieces of the puzzle and you're seeing how do they fit? Because they all fit may not be
Hmm.
as you think they are because you've seen those puzzles. Some of them are actually circular,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you don't just have a two-dimensional, you have your three-dimensional puzzle. So how do you reconstruct this environment in your mind? Then reframing is saying and I love what Martin Luther King Jr. said, what is your life's blueprint? So you're the architect of your life. No one else
Hmm.
is. So
Hmm.
you look at these pieces like, okay, how do I now want to redesign them in this lane? And now that I've designed them, I set the rules of engagement. I decide who the players are going to be. So I paint this very crystal clear picture. And then the last part, and that's where the mindset piece comes. Mindset isn't in the front end, believe it or not. It's actually on the back end. And it's where you have designed this and your mindset is where those limiting beliefs are going to pop up and tell you what you can't do. or maybe you were a little lofty in your thinking and in your design. But you break past that and you reconnect with yourself, with your truth, with your new design. And you realize that no one competes in your lane but you. It's your lane. And
Mhm.
I made it very simple. And some people hear and they're like, oh, I can do that, LaWanna. I got it. That's like me giving you keys to a car and you've never driven.
Mm,
So yes, you may have watched someone drive a car. You understand how to, press the ignition or put the key in and turn and press your foot on the gas, but do you know the rules of the road?
right. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes business owners make is not getting guidance, advice, and strategy from people who know the rules of the game. Because you can't, yes, we can make up some rules, but there are rules to the game. And as you said at the top of our talk today, success leaves clues. And if
Yes,
you don't know what you're looking for, you could pass right over it. Opportunities that are there for you that because you didn't know the rules of the game, you wouldn't even know how to take advantage of them.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. She's a powerhouse. I told you, my friends. LaWanna, we're coming to the part of our conversation where I get to do what I call the lightning round. So
Uh-oh.
this is no, you're gonna love it. This is an opportunity for our audience to get to know you a little bit more and learn some more things about you. So are you ready for the lightning round?
I'm ready.
Okay, she's ready. What is the one thing that you wouldn't want to live without?
Oh, well, I'm living without him now, and that's my father.
Oh,
But
well,
but let me put a but there.
okay, put a butt there.
Because I'm a woman of faith, and just things that I've learned in this year and a half without him, he's still very present, right? The
Hmm.
lessons, I still hear his voice, so I've learned how to physically he's not here, but spiritually I still am connected. So,
That's beautiful.
but if he were still here, that would be my answer.
No,
Just the fear
beautiful.
of what would it be like to walk without dad?
Yeah, and you're living it. And you found a way to stay connected spiritually. So
Yes.
it's beautiful. And for all the pouring into you that he did over the years, and you took those lessons, and I bet you're sharing some of those with us today, even.
Yes. Anytime I have an opportunity to bring up dad, you know me.
I love it. I love it. All right. Next one. What is the one food or dish you could eat every single day?
Pizza.
Yeah, me too. It's a good thing we don't, and I could.
I know. Yes, pizza.
Oh, beautiful. And then what is the final question? What is the one thing you would like to be most known for?
I would like to be known as a person who didn't leave anything on the table, that I lived full out for the betterment of humanity, and that I did it by any means necessary, that life wasn't about me, but through helping others, I benefited.
Beautiful. And I would say that's my experience of you for sure. And I believe that is what you're known for, Luana. Thank you for being the one. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us on the show today. I will put information in the show notes how everybody can get in touch with you. You want to go ahead and share your website or any particular group on Facebook or
Sure.
LinkedIn?
I'm easy to find by my name on all social media, LaWanna Bradford. And my website is just as easy, lawannabradford.com.
That's good. Keep it easy, my friends. Make yourself Googleable, as I like to say, and easy to find. I love it.
Yes, and you can, if you want to connect with me, you can get a 30-minute complimentary session and just go to my website
Mm,
and sign up. It'll only register as 15 minutes, but you actually get 30 minutes with me, and we can unpackage where you are and how you might be able to apply the R3 system.
fantastic. Take advantage of that, of this, of her heart and her brilliant mind for your benefit. You know that's what she's all about. So thank you so much, Luana. I love you
Thank you,
and appreciate
Nancy. I
you.
appreciate
Oh,
it.
awesome. All right, my friends, thank you for joining us for this episode of Be the One TV. Be sure to check the listings because we'll be coming out with another episode soon, and you'll want to be the one who sees that one also. Have a beautiful and blessed day, my friends. Namaste. The light in me sees the light in you. And when you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.
Bye bye.